All right, there we go. So, division and overloading works like this. First, division. You understand that integers are a thing, right? Good. Now, integers are numbers that don't have any decimals in them, right? Good. Now, we're going to ignore that line for a moment. Now, when you divide, for instance, 4 divided by 3, guys, these are both integers, right? The computer recognizes that they're both integers, and it's going to print out an integer answer, 1. So 4 divided by 3 is 1. So that's the first thing you got to understand. First, integer division always gets rid of the decimals. Remember, we call that truncating. Truncates 1 point that to 1, right? Does that make sense? Any questions on that? All right, because then the next part is this. Is that now if one of them is a double, you're going to notice that it actually does print out the double answer. Right there, 1.3333, all that stuff. And with that, that's what I'm here to tell you, is that whenever you have a double inside the division problem, it'll default to a double division, no matter which one has the double, or if it's both of them. If all involved parts are integer, it goes to integer division. Make sure you have that. It will probably be on the exam. It's pretty easy, but what it is, if either of those numbers, or if both of them are doubles, it's going to be a double answer. If they're both integer, it's going to be an integer answer. You force double division by making one of them be a double. That can work in a few ways. Here we got that file. How else can you turn something into a double besides making it 0.0? Someone say it? Yeah, casting. You can cast. So right here, 10 divided by 3. When 3 is casted to a double, it is now a double. Therefore, 10 divided by the double 3, as in 3.0, is going to be 3.3 repeating. The opposite would happen here. You guys see how that would be integer division, right? It's going to cast it to an integer and then divide it, meaning that's how we get answers like the 3.3 repeating here for 10 divided by 3, cast it to a double. And then 10 divided by 3.0 casted to int is this one. Now, down here is one I want to talk about. One fun thing I do on test questions. I know, fun things I do. I make tests fun, don't I? So, this top one up here, do you guys have an idea of what this first line is going to print out when it prints? 5 divided by 3 casted to double. It's going to be a double or an integer answer. Okay, it needs to be double. What's going to be the answer, though? No, that's 5 divided by 3. This is the easier one. 1 point, it's going to be 1.0, 1.3. Repeat. That's great. This is going to be 1.0. And why is that? You're dividing with integers first. Get an integer number, then cast it to a double. In order to cast it, to get one of them to actually be a double, to actually do double division, I'd have to do that. Yeah, I actually have to turn it into a double inside there. Otherwise, I'm doing an integer, because, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, parentheses come first. So that would happen, and then it gets turned into a double. We do 4 divided by 3, integer answer, and get the double from that. Are there any questions on that? I don't want to talk your ears off about that one because I know you guys are busy. You've been doing great. The other half of today's lesson is what's called a method overloading. Notice, what's the name of this method? Mystery. Okay, what's this one? That one? Oh, that one. That one, and that one. So all of these have the same exact name. Now, I once upon a time told you can't do that because you're not going to be able to distinguish them. Same thing with variables, right? But here's the thing. Parameters. Method overloading, and this would be something to write down in your notes, or at least have in your brains, is distinguishing methods by parameters. And it has to be by parameters. I'm going to go also show you that this one down here will not work. You see, typically, if you have two methods with the same name, it's going to say there's an error that's already been defined. But if they have different parameters, it's pretty obvious to know which one it's actually printing. For instance, take a look at mystery up here. Mystery being passed 2.435. What's going to get printed out there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6? Everyone saying 3? Yeah, it's going to be a 3. So you're looking at, so you all get why it's a 3. It's going to print out what it returns. It returns a 3 because that's the one that has a double in it. Method overloading is where a method call is distinguished based on the parameters it's given. So if I give it an integer value, it prints out a 2 then, right? Just any integer value, same thing. If I give it nothing, it's going to be a 1. If we give it a word, it's going to be a 4. And you guys know what that one's going to be? Good. How about this one? Yeah, it's going to have a problem. It says, I don't know integer, my man. Because it's like, there's already an int, double int. Because you see, if it had just one of them, it's fine. But when you have both of them, either of those could be a double, casted to double easily. So it doesn't know. So that's method overloading, and it has to be on parameters. Notice this one, same name, same parameter as one of them, but different return type. And that's a problem. If it had different parameters, it'd be fine. Like if I said Boolean R, then that would be okay. But because it's a different parameter, but because it's only a different return type, it does not work. Make sense? All right, that's really all you have to understand for that one. There is a practice quiz up on eCampus. To go through this,